welcome to our show. It's finally fall, and you know what that means. You got apple picking, sweater weather, pumpkin spice lattes, and I can finally just use all my fall puns, so I'm gonna just get them out of my system today. So for our first video segment, you're gonna fall in love with the Cobb County Police Canine Unit.
Good morning, seniors. We have a real treat this morning. We have with us Lieutenant Maddox from the Cobb County Canine Unit, and he's here to give us some information about the Canine Unit as well as to introduce some of the canines to us and show us an example of what they do and what they're capable of.
Thank you.
Thank you for being with us.
Thank you. I'm Lieutenant Maddox. I've been with the police department for 25 years. The last 7 I've been in the Canine Unit, which are probably my favorite times in the police department. Just being able to work with a dog and do that on a daily basis is the most fun I've ever had in my career. It's very rewarding when you work in a team environment. You get to do that every day for a living. And if it is a bad day at all, you get to go to the park and throw the ball, and all your stresses are gone for the day. We currently have 10 dogs in our unit. Each dog is assigned a handler. Of those dogs, 3 are explosive detection dogs, 6 are patrol apprehension dogs. They catch felony suspects such as armed robbery, murder, stolen cars. And then my dog, K9 Coda, is a narcotics tracking dog that doesn't apprehend suspects. So the 10 dogs we have are really a full-time, everyday thing we do, keeping them going and working. Our dogs work from 10 a.m. to 2 a.m. on different shifts, trying to cover the biggest part of the day we can for the patrol officers. What our unit does is really back up the precincts and special units as they go throughout their day and have a need for a dog. And people often ask why, when do your dogs get used? Like, what do you do? An officer stops a car, through what his investigation, he thinks there's narcotics in the vehicle. He would ask for consent to search, and the person says no. We can bring one of our trained narcotics dogs out. They do detection, and we'll go around the car, and if they alert, we have the right to search the car at that point. Our dogs are trained on cocaine, methamphetamine, heroin, and marijuana. And just this year alone, our dogs will receive 45 pounds of narcotics off the streets of Cobb County. That's a street value of just over $800,000.
Wow.
They've seized 14 guns and $55,000 in cash from drug transactions. So they pay for themselves.
Yeah,
they pay for themselves.
Yeah.
Each of our dogs are hand selected by our unit from a vendor. They're all born in Europe and are brought over to the United States to be police dogs. We go down and test the dogs, kind of see if they're scared of a slick floor, or they jump up in chairs, or they do all the things we ask them to do. And once we select them, they're picked for what their role is going to be, if they're going to be an explosive dog or a patrol dog. And then they start their career with the police department. They go through a 6-week school initially, and then 6 weeks of training with another officer, so 12 weeks total, where they are get trained and certified. Then they are paired with an experienced canine handler to continue for 6 more weeks. So 3 months every day doing canine stuff, getting the dog ready to work on the road. And it's really rewarding. We just finished our first canine school that the police department put on this year. One of our dogs, newest dogs, went on patrol the other day, Canine Odin, and started in Abernathy. Guy ran from a stolen car on Windy Hill Road. They went out and tracked him and found him, arrested him. You think there's not a whole lot to that, and the guy was wanted for murder out of Pennsylvania, and we were able to extradite him back up there and face the charges he had. He had been on the run for a couple of weeks, and he didn't even know that was going on. The dog went out and found him hiding in the woods. So it's very, very rewarding in what we do. Our explosive detection dogs, we have 3 explosive detection dogs that work every home Braves game and all the events of the battery and everything else in the county. I've lived in Cobb County my whole life. You kind of don't think of the county being as big as it is now, but you have the stadium, Galleria, CPAC, the Performing Arts Center. There's a lot of events going on continuously. Our dogs work with that stuff all the time and making sure people are safe as they come in and out of the Braves games, attend the game, all the other things going on. Every presidential visit, we usually do route sweeps. When the president comes to town, we'll take our dogs, go out in front of the route and check everything that they're going to be driving through. So it's amazing what they do, and they do that all with their nose. So we do a lot of demonstrations every year to the kids and get involved. Probably one of our favorite is Science Palooza at one of the middle schools. You get to kind of go out, and the kids really get into what the dogs, how they work, and what their noses smell and how they find stuff. It's very rewarding. So I'm very proud of our guys. We have an outstanding unit, and they do a great job.
Yeah, well, we're really thankful for your unit, and the next time I'm sitting at a Braves game and I feel safe, I'll know that, you know, that your unit was protecting us, and they do a lot more than I think a lot of us are even aware of.
Yeah, we usually have 600 deployments a year, so our dogs are deployed about 600 times a year.
Wow.
As a unit. So from the 10 dogs, they're going out pretty much every day, a couple times a day.
That's
So
amazing.
it is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. So have you ever lost a dog in service during? No.
No, the county has done a great job of providing for our dogs of the year. We're also accept donations in our unit, so we're the only unit in the police department that has a revenue source outside of the police department.
Okay.
So citizens can donate into our unit.
Okay.
One of our new dogs, Canine Jax, was actually donated by a very sweet senior citizen in Mapleton. She donated $30,000 to pay for everything that the dog needed when we purchased him. It was named after her husband, who was named Jack. So he's Canine Jax.
Wow,
So,
that's really neat. Yeah.
but we keep the dogs very safe. Every one of our dogs has an alarm on our belt. It gives us the temperature of the car. So we know what the temperature of the car is right now. It's 70 degrees in my car, so I know she's safe. If the temperature gets too hot in the car, it'll go off. And so we have ballistic vests for our dogs. We have pretty much everything. They need to be as safe as they can doing their job. You know, unfortunately, dogs do get hurt when they're out in the job because they're out in front and they're really out leading the officers in the right direction. It's amazing when you work with them, and it may not be my dog doing it, but you have another officer's dog doing the job, you can watch what's happening with that dog because we kind of all know each other.
Mm-hmm.
We're very much a pack, I guess, if you look at it that way.
Mm-hmm.
You can see what that dog's doing and how he's doing his job. So we try to be as safe as possible in everything. The heat's a big thing, especially in Georgia, with
Yeah.
the summertime. So
Yeah.
even with the bomb dogs.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much.
You're
So
welcome.
we get a little demonstration today, and we really appreciate you taking the time to spend with us.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
We're going to demonstrate canine laser and how our explosive detection dogs work. So we simulated a street in a shopping center or something along those lines where the dog is going to check several packages that were left out. And one of these packages has a explosive compound inside of it. It's actually made the package closest to us on the far left of the screen. He'll start his dog. I'll give him the command to start. Laser will start checking. He's going to go from box to box very methodically. Keeps them on task. Has them checking everything. You can see the dog is just naturally curious to check and make sure everything is right. You'll notice a slight change in his behavior, and then once he finds something, he comes to a sit, and he'll get his toy as a reward, and that's what they work for.
Yeah.
You see, like, she passed that, and then
Next up, Cobb County District Attorney Joyette Holmes will leave you with something to think about as she tells you a little bit about her work with the Cobb County Elder Abuse Task Force.
So we are here today talking with District Attorney Joyette Holmes on Good Morning Seniors. Joyette, thank you for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me here.
So you have taken over not only as the DA, but you've taken over the Cobb County Elder Abuse Task Force.
Yes.
And I've been very involved with that once it started. I know it started under Vic Reynolds, and then Jason was overseeing it, Jason Marvin.
Yes.
Tell us about your role and what your goal is for the task force.
So probably within the first few weeks of me taking over as a district attorney here in Cobb County, I had the opportunity to come to a multidisciplinary task force meeting. So that's where all the agencies really from across the state who are very involved in the Elder Abuse Task Force come and talk about the issues related to what we do in that task force. So it was amazing, an amazing opening into seeing what happens. And when I saw that, I knew that it'd be important to continue and expand as we could the work of the Elder Abuse Task Force. So it's definitely important. We've been intentional about the things that we are wanting to add to that task force, and it's my honor to work with you all to get that done.
Well, it's such a huge need because the whole goal, I know, is first off to eradicate elder abuse. That's the big goal.
Right.
But it's also to elevate it so that people are as familiar of the fact that there is elder abuse going on, just as they're so aware of child abuse.
Yes.
You know, and so how is that working for your organization?
You know, it's working well. The benefits of having that task force is that we're able to get information out there to people to understand what it means to talk about elder abuse, because it's not just the physical or the inaction of caregivers, it's also financial exploitation and things that you don't see on the surface. So to be able to talk about bringing financial institutions into the task force who know what to look for when we're talking about how our citizens who are part of our mature communities, how they are affected by exploitation and the abuse that most people think of when they talk about elder abuse.
Right. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but financial institutions and other organizations are mandated reporters. What does that mean?
Yes, a mandated reporter, when they learn of something that doesn't look right, doesn't sound right, doesn't feel right as it relates to, here we're talking about our elder citizens who may have bank accounts that have flourished for years and all of a sudden there are large amounts of money being withdrawn, or someone who has been social and coming to activities at senior centers who all of a sudden are no longer coming back, and they get information. They are required to report that information, whether it be to Adult Protective Services, an agency like the District Attorney's Office or the Sheriff's Office, to investigate that. Then that's what the mandatory reporter does. And it's important to have that as part of the laws related to the jobs that those people have.
Sure. Now, if I am suspicious that perhaps my neighbor is a victim of elder abuse, in whether it's physical, emotional, financial, and all that, what is my role? What steps should I take?
Well, you should call the local law enforcement agency in your community. And of course, you know, we're sitting in Cobb County, but if you are in one of the cities, the municipalities, so calling the city of Acworth PD, if it's financial fraud, usually the Cobb County Sheriff's Office will deal with that. But Adult Protective Services and members of the task force can always funnel the information to the organization that needs it. So that's why it's important to have a task force like this, so you have a place that you can connect, and then, you know, the information or the numbers you may not have had, you can certainly get through the task force.
Will my neighbor ever find out that I was the one that made
No.
a phone call?
No, your neighbor will not find out that you made the phone call. We are interested in making sure that we protect those who may be in abusive situations, physical and or financial.
Okay, that's very good to know.
Yes.
And, you know, we do hear of seniors that are reticent to call for help, to report their family members, because that's my grandchild, that's my son, that's my daughter, they don't mean to harm me. But we need to help them be strong, and it's okay to make that phone call
Right.
and have it investigated.
Absolutely. And, you know, it's not just for the protection of that person, that senior citizen who wants to be protected, of course, but there may be some help or resources that that family member needs that has caused them to act out in the way that they are and treat their grandmother or their great aunt in the way that they've been treating them. So the resources that are within that task force and that the task force can connect that family to is why it's so important that even for yourself, when it's a family member that you were scared of or concerned about, it works for the benefit of the whole family. So never be fearful to reach out and contact the right parties.
There is a cause for the effect.
Yes, absolutely.
Always, there's a reason for it. What else should we know about the Elder Abuse Task Force?
So over the last year, we were able to apply for a grant with Live Safe Resources to get a coordinator for the Elder Abuse Task Force. And so that helps us to be able to make sure we've got a single point of entry for a lot of the information that's received, so it doesn't get lost in the sauce, as I say sometimes. So.
All right. Well, I appreciate you taking time out of a very hectic schedule to be with us and really to enlighten our seniors about the Elder Abuse Task Force and for them to see your beautiful face.
Thank you.
And this is our Cobb County District Attorney, Joya Holmes, and I know that you join me in thanking her for her time.
Well,
Thanks,
it was
Joya.
great to be here. Thank you so much.
Good to see you.
Now for a short PSA on why it's such a gourd idea. Gourd, good? A bit of a stretch. Why it's such a good idea to get a flu shot during this fall season. Meet Cindy. She's just a normal gal living a normal life. But things are about to change for Cindy. In the upcoming months, the spread of COVID-19, along with the seasonal flu, create a huge public health challenge. Our own flu fighter is going to teach Cindy 3 simple steps to help her become a flu fighter too. Step 1. Flu fighter says, mask up. Always remember to wear your mask when you're out and about. Cover your mouth and nose at all times and secure it under your chin. And keep 6 feet between yourself and others. Step 2. Flu fighter says, lather up. Wash your hands with soap and water frequently. Use warm water and make sure to wash for 20 seconds. If soap and water are not available, you can always use an alcohol-based sanitizer. Step 3. Flu fighter says, sleeve up. Roll up your sleeve and get your annual flu shot. This season, a flu vaccine is more important than ever to protect not only yourself, but your loved ones and your community. And it's that easy. Just remember, mask up, lather up, and sleeve up. By following these easy steps, you can be a flu fighter, just like Cindy. Well, that does it for our show. It's time for us to make like a tree and leaf. I know I used leaf before, but it turns out there's not nearly as many fall puns as I thought. But we'll see you next time. Thank you so much.